In Act 5, Scene 3, it is shown through the murder of Paris and the suicide of Romeo, followed by Juliet, that oftentimes people pursue their passions in excess, which leads to irrational decisions. Passions, such as anger and love, are strong emotions that can cause people to make decisions that they may regret later on in life. Paris, Romeo, and Juliet are all teenagers who make impulsive decisions throughout the entire play, but the causes of these decisions are clearly shown in the last scene. For example, in this last scene, Romeo kills Paris. This hastily made decision to duel Paris results in Paris' death. Romeo is ruled by his anger in this moment. Another example is when Romeo and Juliet commit suicide for each other. Romeo and Juliet love each other so much. This causes the one to rather be dead than to be alive without the other person. These passions drive the irrational decisions leading to Paris, Romeo, and Juliet's death.
By heaven, I will tear thee joint by joint and strew this hungry churchyard with thy limb. The time and my intent are savage wild, more fierce and more exorable far, than empty tigers or the roaring sea.
I will be gone, sir, and not to trouble you.
So shalt thou show me friendship. Take thou that. Live and be prosperous, and bear well, good fellow.
For all the same, I'll hide me hereabout. His looks I fear, and his intents I doubt.
Thou detestable maw, thou womb of death, gorged with the dearest morsel of the earth, thus I enforce thy rotten jaws to open. In spite, I'll cram thee with more food.
This is that banished, haughty Montague, that murdered my love's cousin, with which grief. It is supposed the fair creature died, and here is come to do some villainous shame to the dead bodies. I will apprehend him. Stop thy unhallowed toil, vile Montague. Can vengeance be pursued further than death? Condemned villain, I do apprehend thee. Obey and go with me, for thou must die.
I must indeed, and therefore I came hither. Good and gentle youth, tempt not desperate me. Fly hence and leave me, think upon these gone. Let them affright thee, I beseech thee, youth. By not another sin upon my head, by urging me to fury, and be gone. By heaven, I love thee better than myself, for I come hither armed against myself. Stay not, be gone, live, and hereafter say, a man's mercy bid thee run away.
I do defy thee, and apprehend thee for a felon here.
Wilt thou provoke me? Then have at thee, boy.
Oh, I am slain. If thou be merciful, open the tome, and lay me with Juliet.
The beginning of this part is when Romeo gives Balthazar his money. Romeo is mourning Juliet and is planning to go into Juliet's tomb and get the ring from her finger. He does not want Balthazar to follow him or to speak of anything that Romeo is doing. He tells Balthazar, "Why I descend into this bed of death is partly to behold my lady's face, but chiefly to take thence from her dead finger a precious ring, a ring that I must use." Romeo makes an impulsive decision by giving Balthazar all of his money so that Balthazar can leave and Romeo can be with Juliet. Romeo does not think about what is going to happen after he sees Juliet and just gives up what he has because he is taken over by sadness. He is also determined to see Juliet and does not think clearly about his actions. The next part of the scene is when Romeo kills Paris. Paris hears Romeo going into the tomb and wants to kill Romeo. Paris says that Romeo killed Juliet and that he is going to avenge Juliet by killing Romeo. This is that banished haughty Montague that murdered my love's cousin, with which grief it is supposed the fair creature died. I will apprehend him. Can vengeance be pursued further than death? Obey and go with me, for thou must die. He challenges Romeo, but Romeo denies Paris and does not want to fight him. He tells Paris to fly hence and leave him. A madman's mercy bid thee run away. However, Paris does not listen because he is filled with rage and challenges Romeo again. Romeo has had enough and accepts Paris' challenge and the two fight. Because Paris is filled with sadness about Juliet's death, and because Romeo is a Montague, Paris just forces Romeo to fight him. He does not think of the repercussions that lets his sadness and anger take control of his actions. Romeo, on the other hand, also taken over by sadness and anger, accepts Paris' challenge and decides to fight him. Even though neither boy has done anything bad to each other or to Juliet, they impulsively fight each other for the sake of fighting each other. Romeo kills Paris and lays Paris in the tomb of Juliet.
Ah, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amours, and that lean abhorred monster keeps thee here in the dark to be his paramour? For fear that I will stay with thee, and never from this palace of dim light. Depart here will I remain, with worms that are thy chambermaids. Oh, here will I set up my everlasting rest, and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars. From this world weary flesh, eyes, look your last, arms, take your last embrace. Come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot, now at once run on. The dashing rocks, thy seasick, weary bark, here's to my love. O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick, thus with a kiss I die.
This next part shows another irrational decision of Romeo's. Romeo walks into the tomb and sees that Juliet is dead. After seeing Juliet, he proclaims his death by saying, "Ah, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? O here I will set up my everlasting rest. Here's to my love, O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss I die." He proceeds to quickly poison himself without thinking of any other possibility. Romeo is filled with sadness, seeing that Juliet is dead. Romeo does not wait to properly confirm the death or see Friar Lawrence. Instead, he decides to act impulsively and decides to take his own life in order to join Juliet in the afterlife. It is understandable that you might think that Juliet could be actually dead due to the circumstances, but perhaps he could have understood what lengths Juliet would go to be with him, even faking her own death. His extreme love for Juliet led to his decision to commit suicide, only for a misunderstanding that could have been avoided.
Romeo, alack, alack, what blood is this which stains the stony entrance of this sepulchre? What mean these masterless and glory swords, to lie discolored by this place of peace? Romeo, O pale, who else? What, Paris too? And steeped in blood? Ah, what unkind hour is guilty of this lamentable chance? The lady stirs.
O comfortable friar, where is my lord? I do remember well where I should be, and there I am. Where is my Romeo?
I hear some noise. Lady, come from that nest of death contagion, unnatural sleep. A greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents. Come, come away. Thy husband in thy bosom there lies dead. And Paris too. Come, I'll dispose of thee among the sisterhood of holy nuns. Stay not to question, for the watch is coming. Come, go, good Juliet. I dare no longer stay.
Go, get thee hence, for I will not away. What's here? A cup close in my true love's hand. Poison, I see hath been his timeless end. O churl, drunk all, and left no friendly job to help me after.
Lead, boy, which way?
Yea, noise, then I'll be brief. O happy dagger, this is thy sheath. There rust, and let me die.
This part of the scene is when Friar Lawrence arrives at the tomb and sees Paris slain and Romeo dead on the floor next to Juliet. Friar wakes up Juliet from the potion he gives her, and he informs her that Romeo and Paris are dead. Juliet sends the Friar Lawrence away and says, "What's here? A cup closed in my true love's hand? Poison, I see, hath been his timeless end. Haply some poison yet doth hang on them to make me die. Yea, noise? Then I'll be brief. O happy dagger, let me die." Juliet sees that Romeo is dead besides her. Her love for Romeo and the sadness of his death leads her to take action and kill herself. Juliet takes this course of action despite the fact that her life does not depend on Romeo. Even though she might love him, if Romeo dies, she does not have to die with him. However, her love for Romeo clouds her sense of judgment and she acts impulsively, killing herself.